Welcome back, everyone. And it's tied between Mighty and BlossoM. And it seems like Mighty's bouncing back pretty hard, and BlossoM, they have a very good theme, but in game number 2, they could not really finish the game with the constant theme they had.
Definitely. The score is 1-1, but the momentum is definitely on Mighty's side. And how you lose a game is as important as whether you win a game or not. And BlossoM's way of losing that game, it was a very demoralizing way of losing the game. Sudden mistake, completely random, just blowing the sanctification for no reason inside the...
To save himself.
To save himself.
That was the reason.
I don't know, man. That one mistake snowballed into BlossoM losing the entire game, and I hope they can sort of rally around their emotional heart of the team.
Rally around. Yes. I think they had a very good theme from the beginning. They got lots of picks, and they got what they wanted, but they could not really snowball too much after they got a pick. That was number 1. And after a while, Mighty got used to it. They are, of course, one of the most experienced team in terms of Korean heroes' career here. So they found the answer in that game, and after that happened, BlossoM was very lost, and it's right after the miss-sanctification from Gondar. That was... Oops! But we're going into game number 3. Infernal Shrine, have not seen you in a while, but this one, again, a lot of Korean players have been picking Marthale here, too, with the solo lane, with the Shrine control, with the Tormented Souls. So let's see which team actually picks it, or even bans coming out, possibly.
Something that also deserves some mention is that Infernal Shrines is a map that both Mora and Tutu have professed to feeling confident on, regardless of their prior performances on this particular map. So BlossoM will be pretty happy with the map, and we will have to see how they approach the draft, but I hope they are not feeling too discouraged, because although they lost in the end by a series of throws, essentially, their mechanical precision that they showcased in Game 1 was still very much present in Game 2. The Illidan, the Hunt usages were good, the Genji was still flawless up until the last moment where he got caught out, so BlossoM really need to retain their confidence levels, their proactivity going into this game.
Yeah, that's right. As we get into draft number 3 in Infernal Shrines, there's already the first ban, Uther, coming out from BlossoM. Seems like Mighty can respond the same. They can ban out the support Auriel again and just leave the Genji out if they want to.
Will it be a Genji ban? Will it be an Auriel ban? That, I guess, is the question right now.
I would more willing to go for the Auriel ban, because Auriel also... A lot of people actually forget Auriel is one of the support has with a pretty good wave clear too. And when you're talking about the Shrine control, she gets a pretty good number. Well, each of those Qs can actually get up to like 3 to 5 at a time. So, but instead
they hover Tassadar and lock it in. So interesting first ban. I don't think we've seen that in HGC Korea over the last few weeks.
Yeah, for a while.
For a while.
Maybe just once in one of the matches, and this is more towards going against BlossoM, what kind of team comp they want. This also somewhat threatens and limits Marthale from coming out. Also Greymane, which has been the pair with Tassadar oftentimes, Illidan. So because they could not really pinpoint and ban one, they went around and banned the double support possibility.
A lot of things had to be on Mighty's mind for that ban to have come out, and I would personally like to see them drop the Genji and pick up the Auriel, and they do it.
Oh, and this is the map. Can you smell it?
I can smell the cho'Gall.
I see the C. Okay, let's hold on to it a little bit more. Okay, Genji and Rehgar insta-pick on the other side, inside of Mighty here.
How many Dragon Blade swings does it take to take down the cho'Gall? Infinity!
47?
If Auriel is alongside with cho'Gall. So,
yes,
I'm really hoping that they just go all in here, lock in the cho'Gall right away. It wouldn't be the most smart decision, but I just want to see cho'Gall that bad. In all seriousness, they should probably draft 2 things that work with cho'Gall well and without cho'Gall well. Examples would be solid tank choices.
They can also bring in some percent damage. I think this rotation they can pick up 1 DPS And with Tastar gone, they can either... Oh, actually, Rehgar on the other side. I was thinking they could pick up Rehgar at the same time, but not anymore.
I could see them going for something like a Nubarak Raymain, which takes away two very solid counters to Cho'Gall, so sort of signaling the pick, but both are...
Here we go!
They do
it! It's Cho'Gall! Sorry to kill your ears, guys, but we have it! I waited for this moment for the entire week, okay?
BlossoM win the game!
It's here. Let's go. And before they did it in Braxis, and before Braxis came out, this used to be the man, and Mighty, knowing the game against MVP Black, considering banning Medivh, I don't think that's the best choice. But the Haka, I thought Medivh was a pretty good ban also.
I think the Haka ban is pretty decent considering which players play the Cho'Gall on BlossoM. On MVP Black, it's Rich and Sake that pilot the Cho'Gall, so you know that the melee assassin slot will be taken up by the Cho'Gall. But in the case of Team BlossoM, Gondar and Dudu pilot the Cho'Gall, so the melee assassin spot, the melee flex spot is open, and because this is a 3-lane map, as opposed to Braxis Holdout, which is a 2-lane map, having that Dehaka sort of nullifies the disadvantages of having one body instead of two. So I think that was a very smart ban from Mighty, especially considering how Mora performed so well on Dehaka in Game 1. And Leoric ban coming out from BlossoM, we have discussed this in another one of my articles on the Heroes of HGC website. But in Korea, everyone thinks that the two counters to Cho'Gall at the moment are Greymane and Leoric, so BlossoM decided to take one of those out.
And they already have Genji, so all they need is one more DPS. It seems like they don't necessarily even need it with Rag picked up for them. They want to harass, they want to not fully engage, but pick up those numbers with all those range spells that they have for their side. Cho'Gall, he has to engage in, so it will be very tough when you fully engage with the body-body fight. But if you don't have to engage fully, you can get those numbers with just few skills with the Molten Core, with those shurikens from outside the shrine. I think that's what Mighty is planning right now.
The Ragnaros pick definitely seems to be signaling a lot of clear-cut strategic intentions here on the side of Mighty. And BlossoM, I want to see the Leeming being picked up. Leeming is such a strong pick against virtually all of what Mighty has on their side. Addresses all of their heroes very well. But the problem is that Dudu will be on the Gall, so they don't have a Leeming player.
How about on another support like Brightwin actually to catch all the global EXP wise? Here comes Medivh, but Falstad, there's another global. And No Chat seems like he will be on the Falstad. Most likely, this is an amazing draft coming out for BlossoM. They have double protection, the sustain heal, also the global to soak up against Mighty. That's exactly why Illidan will be hunting for that chicken.
For that chicken,
yes.
Yeah. So, as we said, in a 3-lane map as opposed to 2-lane maps like Braxis Holdout, you sort of want to have a globals. You want to have that map ability that can soak between 2 lanes. So, since Dehaka was not available, they decided to go with the Falstad instead. And Medivh, always a solid pickup when paired with Cho'Gall and Ariel. So, this is what we have been waiting for.
Yep, no Marthiel. No, because they already have a solo lane, and Rag seems to be doing a fine job with the solo lane. But full Cho'Gall Medivh coming out from BlossoM. Let's go into game number 3, Infernal Shrines. In blue, Mighty. Joker on Anubarak, BDG on Ragnaros, good on Illidan, Nasang on Rehgar, and Magi on Genji.
And in red, we see Team BlossoM with Wiz on Ariel, Gondar on Cho, Mora on Falstad, Dudu on Gall, and No Chat on Medivh. It's Cho'Gall time.
It is time, and we've been waiting for the entire week. Actually, no Cho'Gall last week, I believe, and
Mora using the classic strat of using that flight to get in forward.
Mora's Falstad. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see these. I think that it is his false time. Actually, on the fall stat, let me check.
His false time. Was that a Punji glove?
Yes. For phase number 2, it is. I'm pretty sure he did not play in phase number 1. He was back in Tempest also. So
I believe it is his first time, yes, and I am somewhat excited, but also slightly concerned. This is a pretty big risk to take.
yeah, it's a
I
risk.
believe Flex players don't necessarily play ranged assassins well, especially those as inexperienced as Mora. So, to be perfectly honest, whenever I saw Mora on something that wasn't a melee Flex pick in Hero League, I wasn't too impressed. So, I really hope that Mora has practiced this a lot, at least in scrims. Hopefully, we will see some of the good rotations, the good responses to global map movement that we saw Mora display on the Haka.
Yep, that's right, man. He's been pretty solid with the globals, and that does take a lot of talent, and knowing the minimap, the read on the minimap is the important one. But this time he'll be a lot weaker against all the dive coming out from Genji and Illidan. He can burst. He can be deleted within the next few seconds. So that will be some questions that BlossoM has to solve within the game.
I actually wanted to see Magi rotate to the top lane as well and potentially get a pick onto that Falstad, because the opportunity was there for a dive, and Falstad had already taken a sip of that well. So a lot of things could have gone well if Magi had rotated to that corner of the map, but they decide not to do it, and thanks to the structural damage advantage that Mighty has, they are more than half a level ahead at inexperience right now.
Yeah, that's right. They have been pushing because there is Cho'Gao. They are going towards a macro. They're really pressuring hard onto the other lanes. They do not want to fight, but if they can get picks like this onto Cho'Gao, onto Falstad, then Cho'Gao has to come on top every single time. That's going to be a lot of time wasted. And if Good can just escape freely just like that, a lot of rotational work wasted from BlossoM. Good news for Mighty.
Good winning that slight mechanical mind game there, and this is what we worried about. This is what we said, because, you know, as we said, melee fluxes don't necessarily transition well into those very, very fragile ranged assassins. And I feel that Mora definitely overstayed his welcome too much at the top fort. And RNG was on the side of BlossoM because it was the middle shrine that spawned instead of the top shrine. Had the top shrine spawned, the Punisher would have been able to deal much more damage, because the top fort, as you can see on the minimap right now, is at such low amount of health. Instead, BlossoM has been mainly pummeling away at the middle fort of Mighty for most of the early game, so that was advantageous. But
and actually Portal used onto the other side. Nocha was panicking there, and Wiz, if he goes into the portal, he will be dead anyhow. He's just surviving for the moment. But that's a kill for sure. And he can also escape with the... He's actually looking for more kill. There's a dive. Totally misses, but that's enough. And Magi... Ooh.
We were super excited
Here
about
comes
the
Cho'Gao. This miss.
I don't really think he can do anything, though.
He can get a pick onto... BDG actually was trying to go into the Molten Core to buy time.
So, slightly exciting moment there. First kill coming out of Cho'Gao, but... We've been excited about this Cho'Gao, but we did not expect BlossoM's other members to drop the ball this severely. That portal was so bad. That Falstad getting caught out was so bad. There is no other way to put it. That was an elementary mechanical mistake.
Yes. Okay, here comes Cho'Gao from BlossoM, and here comes Toxic. Toxic comments coming from Rally.
Oh,
it's all chop suey here. His toxicity is real. And Cho'Gao is getting out macroed hard by Mighty right now. And look at the level lead. 2 full levels almost.
Mighty will soon gain access to the hunt. And that spells disaster for Falstad. If Genji is anywhere near Falstad when Illidan casts the hunt onto him, instant death. Dead chicken, as you said.
That will be the problem. And Mora, so far, has not been too safe onto the back line, where he could have been soaking a little bit more. And after 10, even worse, because the hunt will be the big pressure onto himself every single time. When he has to actually go over the line, soak for more EXP, he cannot because of Illidan. The hunt is available every single time. He has to check every single moment.
Speaking of every single one of things, every single one of BlossoM's forts have been demolished, whereas every single one of Mighty's forts are still perfectly healthy. So if you're a smash, slight miss there onto the Cho'Gall, so nothing too bad will happen. They might be looking for the re-engage. Ancestral lands onto good.
Is good, and the portal this time from NoChat is pretty good, and the protection. This was the trinity that, I guess, the four men with the Cho'Gall, with the both of his team members, with Wiz on the Auriel and NoChat on the Medivh, the protection, the heal with the Cocoon. They were trying to limit the heal from coming in, but they do not have any percent damage, no Tychus, no Marthiel, so there was no burst to actually get the kill. But it seemed like they were onto something, maybe next time.
So as we saw in the last engage, definitely
Magi's trying to bait this.
God.
And that will be a kill. A little late gust there. Perfect timing of Magi diving in. That's a good trade with Rehgar though.
That's a decent trade, but at what cost?
But overall, the macro is towards Mighty right now. They're soaking in all three lanes. They're missing so much EXP.
This is a very heavy push, and Medivh, again, does not have very good wave clear. So 3 levels ahead on the side of Mighty. 2 lanes pushing straight into the keep. The keeps are being damaged. Both outer walls are down. And this is a situation that BlossoM should never have been in. The pick onto Rehgar was good, but it doesn't really change anything, especially when they didn't even capture the shrine in its entirety. Can they manage to eke out another 11 Guardians from this shrine? BlossoM's future depends on this.
Yeah, they're down on talent now. They have Auriel and Medivh onto the side. Exactly as we said.
So they will be able to finally capture the Punisher, so good on them. BlossoM's first win of the game, tactical slight victory here. But overall,
that's
Mora
okay.
needs to stop dying.
That's the first thing, and in terms of Mighty, they're winning the macro. They brought in Rag because they knew they will be losing lots of the fights, so they brought in Rag to defend with the Molten Core. Can also defend pretty well against the Punisher and also do damage onto the back line. Some harassment damage too. See, Punisher doing no damage to the fort for the time being. There's the Gust onto the other side actually.
Complete waste of a Gust, and they get now, if Good is feeling greedy, he actually could have hunted onto Falstad while the wave was there, but he decides not to push his luck. Good on good.
Yep, that's it. And Cho'Gall has been moving okay, but as more members of Mighty can move, 5v4 has been soaking, and this 2-level lead from the beginning has been pretty consistent, and they're keeping it. The fort, I don't think it's even damaged slightly on the bottom lane, even with the Punisher.
So far we have been quite negative on BlossoM. Well, I have been negative on BlossoM. You have been pretty neutral throughout. But despite that, it remains very clear that BlossoM definitely has the edge in team fights. The power of the Cho'Gall Auriel Medivh combo is still very much intact. So Mighty, as far ahead as they are in structural damage, in general map pressure, should not let their guard down. One team fight can change everything.
Yeah, of course. If Mora steps up a little bit, that can change everything too. But for now, Mighty has the upper hand in the macro. Whenever they have the camp, they have more members to rotate around the map. NoChat can spot this for a while, but for what? He can get more stacks. Of course, he's not dying once that Master's Touch finishes. He will do more damage, but it's only for the time being, and they could not really get too many kills. That's the big question.
BlossoM will be okay with this lull in the action. Both sides soaking and just taking care of the lanes right now. Mighty is going to hit level 16 pretty soon, but that was predetermined. There's nothing BlossoM can really do about that. The question is now whether BlossoM wants to go contest that shrine, and I assume they will want to, simply because the top structure side of the map for BlossoM is so exposed right now, so the Punisher will definitely mean the keep, and you don't want to keep down against the Hunt and a Genji.
Yeah, of course. They will out-macro you even further when they're still keeping the 2-level lead. And in terms of shrine control, they're picking up the numbers, but here comes Cho'Gao. Do you still want to fight here if you have the talent level up? Seems like they are going back, but not anymore. Maybe they have enough damage. They're going towards the back line, looking for a kill onto Falstad. Is protected for now. But there's a gust already being used. The portal is helping them a little bit, but another dive comes in from Good. Magi is very low. He's looking for the kill. There's the protection. Seems like, whoa, that ley line seal, and the portal saved Cho'Gao so hard, but already lost to Medivh, and the perfect Ancestral onto Magi. Seems like this will be a full team wipe going for Mighty.
Very well executed on the side of Mighty. BlossoM made the right call to go contest the Shrine, and they were actually a slight bit late because Mighty, remember, had 19 Guardians on the Shrine even before BlossoM came. So actually, if they wanted to play a more conservative style, if they wanted to minimize risks, then since Ragnaros had his trade up, they could have just retreated out of the Shrine and used Ragnaros' trades to gather the remaining 21 Guardians. But they didn't do that. They committed to the team fight because they were 3 levels ahead with a talent tier advantage, and they pulled it off perfectly, getting the team wipe and the game.
And Magi and both Illidan diving in, not really losing, costing their lives, but aggroing so hard. Taking first, getting the gust out for the disengage, perfectly done. Getting a kill onto Medivh. That was the biggest one, and without so much protection onto Cho'Gao, he also was falling at the same time. I thought Cho'Gao was decent, but not in this map, not if you can play that well against the macro, and 75% win rate down to 60 now.
It's sad, but it was very much a deserved loss for BlossoM. The plays coming out from Mora's Falstad was simply inexcusable, and I'm not trying to single out Mora here, but his plays were that bad, and we need to think, BlossoM needs to think about how they are approaching these drafts, because we have criticized BlossoM for picking up so many heroes, rotating all of these players looking like flex players when they're actually not. We have criticized this very often. If you're not a god like Kyocha, or a god like Rich, or any other player that has wide hero pools, then you're bound to display some deficiencies in your individual performance when you're suddenly asked to play an unfamiliar hero like Mora did with Falstad. And I know that Dutu does all the drafting for BlossoM, so he might have been happy with getting to play Cho'Gao with Gondar again. He secured the Ariel, he secured the Medivh, all good on him. But placing Mora on Falstad, was that the right decision? That decision lost them the game.
And that's because Mighty banned Dehaka. That was the biggest thing.
Perfect ban, really.
It was the perfect ban, and from game number 1, his Dehaka looked onto the opposite side. Put the Falstad of Mora in game number 3, and you can put the Dehaka onto the other side. Exactly the opposite. It was so perfect, and this Falstad was
the opposite of that.
The opposite, on the other way, in the worst way. That, let's just say that, in the worst way. That those gusts, and he has been. Of course, there were lots of pressure because against the hunt, against so much dive, he was oftentimes baited with Genji, sometimes just diving in, and they were losing more EXP because he was dying all the time. Well, let's see if they can have a little bit better draft. I think Mighty wins hard in draft, but sometimes they cannot just execute what they want to in game. But if they can play this well against the team comp that was practiced, and they showed this kind of team comp, Cho'Gao team comp before.